Hey everyone, it's Marty in Oregon, and today I'm going to attempt the Japan vinyl tag um, created by my good friend and one of my favorite people in the VC, Brian, with Tokyo Record Style. So, um, as usual, and as my VC friends know, I collect albums from my birth year, 1974, so all of these albums will be from that year. And I had to bend the rules just a little bit, but I think it'll be cool, and we'll see what happens. So let's get going. So first one is Obi-Wan. So Japanese records come with an Obi strip down the left side, kind of describing the album and what it has. But I don't have any Japanese releases from 1974, so I went with something. Obi is means sash that we learned from Brian, and this is the obi on a kimono, and this is Sparks Kimono My House from 1974. This is one of my favorite albums from 1974. It's the Ron and Russell Mail, and they're Americans that went over to the UK in I think 73 and made these albums. And this is it's uniquely their style, and it's pop, it's rock, definitely some quizzical lyrics, and they've been at it for I think longer than just about anybody else right now. I mean, I think they're still making records. This is a truly great record. They had another one in 74 called Propaganda, which is really good too, but the big breakthrough hit on this was This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us, which is a really cool song, leads off the album. So Kimono My House by Sparks. The next one is Japan Inspired. So this is Jade Warrior, and this is called Floating World. And I'll read it's a concept album that they put forth. They were with Vertigo Records, but were released by Vertigo and signed by Island Records on the recommendation of Steve Winwood. And this was right around the time after Tubular Bells came out, and both of the founders on this, their name eludes me, but they played, I think, flute on Tubular Bells. But this album, Floating World, which references the Japanese word yukio, which means the living in the moment, turning our full attention to the pleasures of the moon, the snow, the cherry blossom, and the maple leaves, singing songs, drinking wine, and diverting ourselves just in floating, caring not a whit for the pauperism staring us in the face, refusing to be disheartened, like a gourd floating in the river current. So this is a real cool album. It's very ethereal, and it kind of mixes Eastern and Western genres. It's instrumental, but I really like it. It's good. Sunrise soundtrack. So a lot of people, I think, maybe would think of sunrises as a kind of a calming and soothing rise, but I decided to go with Ramsey Lewis, Sun Goddess. And Ramsey's a jazz pianist, organist, and decided to go a little bit more funky in the 70s. And he teamed up, I think, with some guys from Earth, Wind, and Fire on this. I think Philip Bailey sings on this too. But it's really good. The first track, Sun Goddess, is really funky, and it always makes me smile when I listen to it, and it kind of tap my foot. So it's really good. Sun Goddess by Ramsey Lewis. City Sounds. So I decided to think about what it's like to ride around a city in my motorcycle. I know Brian's a motorcycle rider, and I often feel that I'm kind of encapsulated inside my helmet, and it's my own little world. And my local big city, or sort of big city, is Portland here, and I've ridden around downtown and in and out of traffic and all over with this album in my ears, and it's Robin Trower, The Bridge of Sighs. And I would say this is like the perfect cross between Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan. It is both, it makes me feel like I'm in the midst of a mass of people, and also their solitude there. And to me, it's the perfect soundtrack for riding around a big city inside my helmet on a motorcycle. Very good. Give it a try. Zen listening. So I have several records that maybe would qualify under that, but the one that really makes me just kind of reflect and think about life and relationships, because relationships are so important to me, is Willie Nelson's Phases and Stages. This was the first. This is a concept album that he wrote, and it was the first album that he wrote entirely himself. And it's about the dissolution of a marriage, probably, or a relationship. The first side is written from the perspective of a woman, and the second side from the perspective of a man. And he repeats the refrain, "Phases and Stages," a few times in the album. This was a really cool record store day release this year that includes an alternate recording. So this was recorded at Muscle Shoals, and Jerry Wexler was the producer. But a few months later, Willie went up to Tennessee and recorded it with the Nelson Family Band. So this includes that recording as well. And it's really interesting to listen to the difference between both albums. So I kind of really get a peaceful Zen feeling when I listen to this. And of course, his guitar trigger, that nylon string guitar, is just, it's so beautiful. Go, 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 Godzilla, a record that destroyed my perceptions. So before I started collecting 1974s, I really didn't know a whole lot about King Crimson. I then became aware of them when I got Starless and Bible Black. Robert Fripp is Godzilla. This album starts off as though you're maybe in a high-rise in Tokyo, and there's no warning. I mean, the album just hits right off the bat, and Godzilla is stomping and blowing fire and wreaking havoc on the whole city. And then there's calm in here, and you're always wondering, when does it hit next? When does the destruction come again? So this really challenged my idea of what music could be. It's the more you listen to it, the more you understand what it's all about. But it takes a little bit of time. Great album. Looking to the future. So there's probably no album in '74 that epitomizes this more than this album, and I would say that it may be in the top 5 forward-looking albums of all time. I know that's a huge statement, but Rolf Hutter and Florian Schneider put together with a couple other guys in '74 Autobahn and Kraftwerk. This is the birth of electronic music, and it is wholly unique. They didn't take notes from anybody on this, it would seem. And I was fortunate to get this album, and really, in listening to it, it's like a time capsule into what is popular now, and what all the EDM has come. So I would check this out. Fun on the Autobahn. Yeah, it's really great. Take a Walkman. So I had Walkmans, I had Sanyos, I had Memorex, I had JVCs, I had all sorts, and I wore them out. I mean, the cassette tape Walkman was vital to my youth. And though I didn't have this album when I was growing up, this is one that I would definitely dub and take on a walk, and that's Average White Band, AWB. So this is Average White Band is a Scottish funk band, which is kind of wild, but they are known and mostly sampled their instrumental "Pick Up the Pieces," which you've all heard in movies or on TV. You'll instantly recognize it if you put it up. Pick Up the Pieces is really funky and really groovy, and this is the kind of thing that if you go on a walk There the guys are right there. You're going to instantly, be nodding your head. Songs like "You Got It," "Got the Love," and then the third track is "Pick Up the Pieces." So this is definitely one that would be that I could have enjoyed in the '80s in a Walkman. Great album. Bullet Train. So the one thing that I thought about in this is the Bullet Train, which is, what the distinction it has from other trains is that it's really fast. It goes really fast. So I thought I needed to find some hard rock for the Bullet Train experience, and I couldn't find an album that suited better than Deep Purple's Stormbringer. So the first song, Stormbringer, is I kind of think about like when you get on the Bullet Train, the first thing you have to do is you've got to fight a bunch of ninjas and they're coming after you. So this is the ninja clearing song, Stormbringer. And then Love Don't Mean a Thing is the second track, and that's basically somebody who makes their living on the train that doesn't have time. It's a guy in a suit and a briefcase, and he's making deals and on the train, and he doesn't have time for a woman unless she's going to pay her own way. The third track is Holy Man, and this is like you're sitting on the train and you're traveling, and there's a Shinto monk that you're getting some wisdom from. And then it's Hold On, which is basically about, I think of it as you're there on the train with your lady, you're enjoying the scenery go by really fast, and you're kind of vibing with the one that's most important to you. Anyway, and then there's a bunch of other great songs. This is one of two albums released by Deep Purple in 1974. The other one is Burn, but this one definitely has some more funk in it. John Lord on the organ is really good. So great album, Stormbringer. Lost in Translation, so music from another land. I chose Urubamba, and this was produced by Paul Simon. This group was formed in Paris, but and played on some Paul Simon tracks. But this is an album, a standalone album by them. They're basically known as Los Incas, and I think Urubamba is the river that flows in the base of the valley below Machu Picchu. So this is kind of a Peruvian music. You can see it's got the traditional Peruvian instruments here. But it's a really interesting and fun listen. I really like that. Live at the Budokan. So I didn't find any albums from '74 that were from the Budokan, but just down the road, so to speak, in Osaka in '74, Mountain recorded Twin Peaks. And this is quite the album. It rocks. It's 2 LPs. And it includes a 32-minute song, Nantucket Sleigh Ride. So as far as I understand, Mountain had broken up before this, and then they got together and went to Japan, and they recorded this in the Kozinenkin Hall in Osaka. I hope I pronounced that right, Brian. But it's really good, and it's kind of obscure. I think a lot of people don't know about it, but you kind of get the vibe of the crowd in Japan. I'm thinking about it when I'm listening to it, and so yeah, it's really cool. Vinyl Bar. So I'm a big piano lover, and so have been kind of searching out pianists. Whether it's jazz or rock or fusion or whatever. And somebody that I really, that I discovered in '74 and really love is Errol Garner. So I kind of picture a vinyl bar as a place where you can sit and talk quietly while the music plays in the background. And Errol Garner was a popular piano player, jazz piano player in the, I think even going to the late 40s perhaps, but into the 50s and 60s. And then his manager actually did something that was kind of unique and insisted that he have the right to be able to say to the record company, hey, I don't approve of this. He had approval rights for all of his releases. And I think it was Columbia who released some stuff that he didn't approve of, and he ended up suing them. And he's kind of credited with being one of the first artists to go up against a very powerful record label. And it took 3 years where he basically, it was in his prime, and he was kind of sidelined for 3 years while he was fighting this, had to borrow money. Columbia countersued him, and he had to put up a bunch of money and borrow money from friends, but he ended up winning, and they had to recall all the music that they had released that he didn't approve of. And with the money that he won in the suit, him and his manager opened up their own record label. But this is a great album. I really love this album. I mean, check out that purple cardigan. Isn't it? That is just so, oh, so sweet. He has this this offbeat left hand, which I just think is super special. The first song on this is "They Long to Be Close to You." I think you all know that. Maybe most of you, maybe around my age, know that song. And his rendition or arrangement on the piano is super special. I really love this. This is my vinyl bar choice. Island Nation. So there's not a whole lot to be said. Of course, Natty Dread is a '74 release by Bob Marley. This has "No Woman, No Cry" on it. And it's great. It's not particularly one of his best albums, but you know, it's Bob Marley. What can I say? So Island Feel, definitely. Monsoon Season. So there was this guy named Brad Miller, who many of you might know. He liked to record. He had a special interest in steam locomotives and trains and recording them. And he then, I think, did some releases, and a friend of his or somebody that he knew put some music over the steam locomotive and kind of integrated some orchestral sounds with the train sounds. And as things progressed along the way, I'm not sure of the whole story, but Brad Miller created the Mystic Moods Orchestra. And he's also a founding member of Mobile Fidelity, which everybody knows about Mobile Fidelity. So I think it was 1966. Their release on Philips was Stormy Night. And this is the '74 release called Erogenous. And I think the wiki says for the Mystic Moods that this music is designed as a preamble or accompaniment to sexual intercourse. And certainly it is. So this is a quad album, actually. I don't have a system for that, but it has rain and thunder in the background, but with wonderfully produced orchestral arrangements and songs. The original sleeve of this had an out-of-focus nude couple on the inner sleeve. This is a quad disc, so it has the one that came with this just has the explanation of how that works. But at any rate, this is a pretty interesting and fun album to listen to. It's on a stormy night, it really is fun to listen to. Okay, Wabi Sabi. So finding poetry in perfection. So Brian put forth an album from the Ditch Trilogy by Neil Young, and of course I had to agree with that. This is the middle of the Ditch Trilogy, On the Beach, Neil Young, and it is perfectly imperfect. It's lo-fi, and like Brian said, it seems to be a response to his mega fame with the Harvest records, and this you can read about what heavily influenced this album a lot, and you'll find out about honey slides. I won't describe what they are, but honey slides had a lot to do with how this album came about. But it is great, and it's just kind of that dirty perfection, which is really, really something to appreciate about Neil Young. Okay, Wabi Sabi. Not Wabi Sabi, excuse me, Origami Me. So interesting packaging. So in '74, Three Dog Night came out with Hard Labor. And a lot of times it was packaged with this, what's up here, with this medical folder on the front, because right here you can see there's a bunch of people surrounding, I think it's a doll, I don't know, but that doll is giving birth to a record. But it was initially released without this big Band-Aid, and so like a couple of the people are holding an LP, and it was considered too controversial. So they thought, oh, we got to do something. So they put this embossed Band-Aid over it. So to find you can find releases without this Band-Aid, with just them holding this record. But they're pretty hard to come by. I haven't seen any in the wild. And then also what they did is they released this medical file folder with liner notes and stuff like that. And then the inside is like this. You can see the band there, and they're all around the record like that. It's kind of cool. This is a great album. It has the songs that you recognize. Sure As I'm Sitting Here, I'd Be So Happy. Yeah, Three Dog Night. They're classic, right? Okay, Fusion Frenzy. So an album that mixes genres. I went with Stanley Clarke, and he's from Return to Forever fame with Chick Corea. And this album truly is, it is a fusion frenzy. It's jazz, it's rock, it's progressive, it's everything. And Stanley's known for playing a short-scaled alembic bass, which is really unique. It allows him to just get up and down the neck really fast. And when I came across this and listened to it, I was kind of blown away. I started off playing the bass, and so I can really appreciate this this album on Nymphorer Records, which I hadn't heard of before, but pretty cool. Okay, Tokyo Nights. So unlike the Vinyl Bar, which seems to me kind of a classy place, kind of a place where you maybe dress up a little bit to be seen and to sit quietly and discuss the finer points of music, I was thinking in Tokyo Nights more of a dive bar idea, more of a clinking glasses and cigarette ash all over, and of course I had to pick The Heart of Saturday Night by Tom Waits, his second album. I know Brian's a big fan of Tom Waits, as he should be. He's awesome. This is a great album. The writing is just almost unmatched. He's just so good at conveying a story and a feeling in his music. So kind of a grungy, dirty, late Saturday night in Tokyo, perhaps. Okay, The End of the Day. So Brian, his beginning of the day, his sunrise, the one he chose is Deodado, the Brazilian artist. Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is a great album. I love this album. So I thought at the end of the day, the 74 release from Deodado is Whirlwinds. And this is a really cool album. So the first track I picture in my mind, a Japanese salaryman, and he's coming home at the end of the day, and he's on the subway, he's leaving the office, and the first track is Moonlight Serenade. So that's his commute time on the train or the subway home to his house. He gets home and kicks off his shoes and hops into the shower. The second one is his interpretation of Ave Maria, and it's just kind of this peaceful, let the water flow down over your face while you just kind of exhale from a long day. And then you get out of the shower, and he does Steely Dan's Do It Again, which is great. You pour yourself a cocktail and wind down before you slip off to bed. And of course, West 42nd Street, Havana Strut, and Whirlwinds. This is a great album. Okay, and lastly, The Last Samurai, or an album that you might, or that I might choose to be played at my funeral. And this was really tough, obviously. But I love piano players so much, and I love R&B and soul, and I decided to go with Les McCann's Another Beginning. So this album wouldn't necessarily, lyrically, it has songs like Maybe You'll Come Back, The Song of Love, When It's Over, Go On and Cry, My Soul Lies Deep. So there's some reference there to Saying Goodbye, but the overall feel of this is both melancholy, both uplifting and reflective, and sad. And his voice, Les McCann's voice, is really, it's just so good. It's so good, and I really love this, and I could see this being played at my funeral. So anyway, that's my Japan vinyl tag, and I really appreciate you all sticking around. And thanks, Brian, for putting this out. Take care.